welcome or welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a beautifully sunny and blessed day. This is episode 1 of my Savefile Diaries. I'm kind of nervous to make this because I don't know, I've had an idea to do a save file for the longest time, but I think I finally plucked up the confidence and courage to actually do one after you guys were, left so many really sweet, kind, and encouraging comments on my vanilla Let's Play save file. So yeah, this is going to be the start of something new and I'm really excited to share the journey. I don't know how often these types of videos will be. I think it will be as often as I update the save file or have time, carved out to work on it, and then I'll share the updates with you. But this episode 1 is really going to be the backstory of the save file, sort of the lore that I've built around it. And yeah, we're just gonna go through it together. It's gonna be more of a talky, chatty video, so get comfortable, get you something to snack on if you want to have me on in the background, maybe do some building yourself, and we'll get right into the video. Alright, so I think I should start with the idea behind the save file, and I'll probably pop up some pictures. I did like a map, a DIY map in on my iPad of how I was picturing this whole thing. So the idea behind my save file is going to be, it's based off of a state, and I guess what is quote unquote Samerica or America. So I took a portion of the southern states that's within the US and I drew a fictitious state, and it kind of resembles a plumb bob, which was completely unintentional, but it just worked that way, following I guess the ley lines or the contour lines of the American map, and it formed a plumb bob, so like a distorted one, but I think that means it's a sign that this is supposed to happen. I don't know. Anywho, I am calling this save file South Cordelia, and that is a nod to Princess Cordelia, but she has nothing to do with this save file, so I don't want to get your hopes up or anything about that. But the idea is that South Cordelia is a state, and it's sort of divided, as much as most of the states that are in the US have sort of different, like Georgia. I'm originally from Georgia, so I'll break Georgia down. For example, in the northern part of Georgia, you will find mountains. The Blue Ridge Mountains are up there. It's very beautiful and it's very green. But if you keep going south into Georgia, then you have like the Savannah area. There's Tybee Island, there's beaches, etc. So you've got the northern part, which is more of a forested area, best for hiking. The southern part of Georgia itself is more of a beachy area if you wanted to, go on vacation. And then you've got the middle ground, which is full of like cities, and I mean there are tourist sites, of course, but it's it's just more I guess it's like city town structures, etc. There's not too much going on, but I mean you can still tour in that area. So South Cordelia is sort of mirrored that way, where you have technically 3 split areas, but I guess in hindsight you could consider it just 2. You've got the northern part of South Cordelia, and then you've got the southern part of South Cordelia. So now that I've explained the I guess the geography of this fictional sim state, let me break down how I'm going to do this save file. I think the best way for me to do it, similar to how I'm doing my vanilla Let's Play save file, which by the way, I had a lot of you guys ask, am I turning that into a save file that's shareable? The answer is no, but I do have the builds on the gallery if you want to download it, and that's simply because there's sims that are in that save file that I play with personally, and I don't really want to share them, but I don't have a problem with sharing the builds. So after I did that video, I have since posted some of the builds on the gallery. If you guys want to use it, then you are of course welcome to. But that is not going to be converted into a save file. But this is going to be for y'all, and it will have Sims and lore and relationships with the Sims, etc. built for you guys to play. But anyway, I digress. So I think the way that I'm going to tackle this is into different phases, and phase 1 is going to be titled The Foundations of South Cordelia, and it's going to include the worlds Willow Creek, Newcrest, and Magnolia Promenade. And I know those are like the 3 worlds I feel like everybody usually starts out doing, but it's gonna make sense when I read to you my notes and things that I have planned for this save file. Phase 2 is going to be labeled the Northern Frontier. These are going to focus on, or this phase is going to focus on the worlds of Evergreen Harbor, Copperdale, Moonwood Mill, Granite Falls. And I do want to sprinkle in like a little occult werewolf lore within this save file, because I'm sure someone has done it, but it would be interesting to kind of have like maybe legends and stuff that's a part of South Cordelia's northern, the northern part of the state, like cryptid almost stuff, how we all have like Bigfoot resides in this mountain range, or I don't know, the Chupacabra resides in this area, that sort of thing, but it's actually werewolves. So I don't know if that makes sense. But phase 3 is going to be the capital, which will be, I'll be redoing San Myshuno and Brightchester. So in my mind, for this save file, San Myshuno and Brightchester are both within the same, I guess, area. Like you have the more modern upscale city part of it, and then you have the older part of it, which is more geared toward the education of well, I guess technically of South Cordelia as a whole, but specifically for the city, you've got the older, more historic area of the city, which is considered Brightchester. I know that Brightchester is not based on anything in America. If anything, I think it's based on Oxford, if I remember correctly, but like I said, it's my save file, and I think everybody has their own creative liberties that they can take, and that is what I have decided to do. Alright, so let's talk about the breakdown of phase 1 that I'm tackling for this save file, which is the Foundations of South Cordelia. Now, just to circle back, like I said, this is going to include the worlds Willow Creek, Magnolia Promenade, and Newcrest. So just so that we're on the same page, South Cordelia, fictional state inspired by the American Southeast, okay? Willow Creek is going to be sort of the representative for like a historic town, whereas Magnolia Promenade is more of the commercial district, which has been absorbed by Willow Creek, so essentially is an extension of Willow Creek. And then you have Newcrest, which is a modern rebuild community. And I say modern, but the vibe, so just to segue for a second, I originally wanted to call the save file South Cordelia 2014 because I wanted the general aesthetics and everything to feel like 2010s, and I think that can still be done, but I didn't want to confuse anyone with saying South Cordelia 2014 because I didn't want it to seem as if, oh, I'm going to include like custom content to make everything feel a little dated. This is going to be a CC free, no mods save file, completely vanilla. But the general vibe of what the town or the state is supposed to be in as far as time frame goes is in the 2010s, so I guess I should say that. But anywho, these 3 areas form sort of the warm, humid, old South meets new growth part of the state. The architecture that I'm going to go for, at least for Willow Creek and Magnolia Promenade, is coastal Georgia, maybe some New Orleans influence as well. So think antebellum and Creole revival styles is really what Willow Creek and Magnolia Promenade will have in them. For Newcrest, I want to do more of like the traditional American suburban style house. So think early to mid 2000 homes. I'll probably pop up some photos for y'all too. That is the vibe that I want Newcrest to have, with this like just a sprinkling of more modern structures, like structures that perhaps have been rebuilt within the last couple of years in their timeline, that have a little bit more of a more like modern aesthetic to it. I don't know how else to explain that. So yeah, just think of Willow Creek and Magnolia Promenade as just a one big city, like one big city instead of a small town, whereas Newcrest is kind of a small town, but it's more of a progressive small town. So Willow Creek is very much stuck in like a historical time loop as far as the architecture goes. Everything is very traditional. So I'm going to explain some of the lore, but I'm only going to touch on it briefly when it comes to the Sims, because I haven't started creating the Sims yet. I've said this before, but I don't actually enjoy being in cast for a long time, and so the most daunting thing for me is not going to be the building. It's going to be creating the Sims, and I don't know, it's just, I feel like I could probably knock out 2 or 3 lots within like maybe 2 hours, like building them. But when it comes to creating Sims and casts, I could spend all day in there, and then I get antsy and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm tired, I don't want to do this anymore. So yeah, cast for me is kind of a challenge. I mean, I enjoy the outcome once it's done, but you understand what I'm saying. So in my mind, the historical foundations of South Cordelia begins in the early 1800s, early 1900s. South Cordelia started along the riverbanks, where trading posts and farmlands gradually expanded into the early part of the town. So that's sort of its origin, its infancy, if you will. Willow Creek, in my mind, became the first established city in the region, making it a cultural and historical heart of the state. There are going to be 2 legacy families in Willow Creek. You have the Blackwells, which is one of the oldest landowning family, and then the Finchwicks, which migrated for Hempford-on-Bagley in the 1870s. They brought wealth and influence into Willow Creek. So yes, Finchwick is a nod to, I think there's a part of Hempford-on-Bagley called Finchwick, but I know that there's the Finchwick Fair, so there you go. Their combined legacy is really what defines the like family-owned institution, old money wealth that's present today. And their families also helped like construct a lot of the historical buildings and create landmarks within Willow Creek. So yeah, Willow Creek is very traditional, old money, historic. It's the oldest city in the state. It's gonna feature a couple of estates, as well as like what I am going to try to be like preserved historic areas. Like I'm wanting Magnolia Park, like Magnolia Blossom Park, to really feel like a landmark rather than like a tourist site, rather than a park. Does that make sense? But yeah, so think multi-generational families. That's what's going to be a part of the save file. Old money. The architecture here is going to blend a lot of Southern charm, riverfront living, New Orleans style influences together. Yeah, and I think the residents that live there, like the older residents, are going to resist modernization, and I think they'll prefer to maintain the city's historic identity. There will be a mayor of this city of Willow Creek, as well as Newcrest. In fact, I plan on putting mayors in all of what I'll consider the big towns or cities for each of the regions of South Cordelia. So for example, there will be a mayor in Willow Creek and in Newcrest, but you can also expect one in San Myshuno, as well as in Evergreen Harbor, which will be the northern part of South Cordelia. Now, the mayor of Willow Creek is actually going to be a descendant from the Blackwell family legacy. Of course, they're considered the founders, really, of Willow Creek. So, yeah, he is going to be a traditionalist, very committed to preserving the city's heritage and protecting the older communities from redevelopment. So, yeah, and in contrast to that, Newcrest is considered the great rebuild town or city. Newcrest is going to be sort of a residential mixed with community style lots. I don't know if that's going to make sense, but I want Newcrest to feel like it focuses on family, but also modern and sort of like diversity, I think, is what Newcrest is going to symbolize for the southern part of South Cordelia. So in recent years, at least in my lore, it was demolished and redesigned into a more modern district meant for fresh starts, affordable living, community-focused institutions, etc. So it's going to be a sustainable future for development, and the mayor of Newcrest, I imagine, will be a very young, ambitious sim, heavily focused on innovation and community programs. So yeah, Newcrest is designed to feel like what the future of South Cordelia, at least the southern region of South Cordelia, should strive toward. I want there to be like a mayoral feud too, so it'll be like tradition versus progress. So like one of the state's biggest political tensions is going to be this sort of ongoing feud between the mayor of Newcrest and the mayor of Willow Creek. Again, one is fighting for preserving the old southern identity, and the new mayor, the younger one, is striving for growth and modernity and community, innovation, etc. So there's that to look forward to. And like I mentioned earlier, and I'm sorry if I'm sort of, backtracking, but I just want to make sure I'm rounding up all this information because it's a lot to dump on y'all. But Magnolia Promenade is the business district, so it's going to have like small apartments, restaurants, boutique stuff. And I know that there's only 4 lots, but I'll probably have to try to do small business or like custom venue lots in order to make this work. You know what I mean? I don't know. I know it's going to be a big undertaking, but I think it'll be manageable. I really do. So let's go ahead and get into the maps so I can kind of show you how I'm planning this out. Maybe this will also help y'all if you're organizing a save file yourself. Like maybe if you're creating a save file yourself and you don't know how to kind of organize it, maybe this will give you some inspiration to do so. So we're currently in the Willow Creek map, and also I have started building for this save file, but I didn't start in Willow Creek primarily due to the fact that I did just rebuild it recently, and I don't know, I think I had a little bit of a fatigue from building in Willow Creek specifically. Not that I hate her, I love Willow Creek, she is a gem, but it's just I wanted to kind of see something a little different as far as building goes. So I've actually started building in Newcrest rather than Willow Creek or Magnolia Promenade. But yeah, let me explain sort of the idea and what I've done to kind of prep for this. I will say Notion is a fantastic tool if you're ever planning and prepping for this kind of stuff. I mean, I don't I don't like spreadsheets. I know a lot of folks do be using their spreadsheets when it comes to Sims 4, not knocking it. I think that it's great if it works for you, but I really enjoy using Notion because it's more visually in tuned, like for me, and it just works a little bit better for my planning style. But you could plan your save file you could put it on notebook and paper, honestly, which I actually started when I had this idea. of doing this save file was actually back in like June, maybe July. And so it was on paper, and then I transferred it over into a digital format. But anyway, I digress. So this is Willow Creek, and how I'm going to do it is I've already got these lots like pre-named, and in the description, I usually will just place like, well, that one doesn't have it. One second. I'll usually go ahead and place a description in here so that when I go to it, I know exactly what it is. So for example, this is going to be Cafe Magnolia. It says a relatively newer establishment in Willow Creek. Cafe Magnolia is a small business owned by the Highmores, which feature delicious coffee and pastries. Be sure to stop in the novelty gift shop and florist for your Willow Creek souvenirs. So yeah, I'll usually place descriptions on them so that I know what it is, or I'll do a small description like Willow Creek Municipal is going to be the town hall. And yeah, so we'll have a Sweet Sage, which is a yoga and gym studio, Cafe Magnolia, the Quarter, which the Quarter is going to be a restaurant. And it says elegant dining meets old town charm, owned and operated by the Whitleys. The Quarter is a charming eatery with lively sights of the main street of Crawdad Quarter. So yeah, that will be a restaurant. I recently did a build called The Willows, and I think it's going to be kind of in that same vein, but I want it to serve seafood because, like I said, this is going to be, if you guys remember how the Crawdad Quarter looks, you can see the riverfront here. So I want this restaurant to feel like you're actually getting seafood dining experience. And then we'll have the municipal buildings. So I'm picturing like this won't be one big building, but rather multiple small buildings that is kind of supposed to be like different town government buildings. Do you know what I mean? Like zoning and planning, and I think you get what I'm trying to say. And then we have Magnolia Blossom Park, which of course I plan on this being more of like a touristy thing. Even though I plan on having children here, I feel like this whole town, Willow Creek, is going to be catered more towards the older citizens. So yeah, we'll have Willow Creek Church as well, the Monroes, which I plan the Monroes to be like, I plan on this house having the pastor and his family there, so he'll run Willow Creek Church. The Blackwells, which again is one of the legacy families, the Fitchwicks, who live right across the street. I'm going to have the Blackwells, like I imagine that the family is going to be intermarried into the Fitchwicks. So yeah, we have the Cordelia Club, which I'll read the description for this. The Cordelia was originally built in 1890 as a gentleman's club where all of Willow Creek's elite met and discussed the town's growth, economy, and future. Now, to better suit modern times, the club is no longer considered a gentleman's only club, but a country club where old money and new money mingle. So back in the day, there used to be clubs like for just gentlemen, landowning folks who had nothing better to do with their time but to go and smoke cigars and drink brandy and talk about what's going on in town. So that is kind of the vision that I had in mind for the Cordelia Club's origin story. But I'm picturing like it now to be a proper country club. Unfortunately, I can't do like golf or anything, and the lot that I've chosen for it is a relatively small one, but I'm thinking it to be more in line of a lounge rather than like a golf coursey type country club, which is very much a thing in the States. I don't know if it is anywhere else because unfortunately I'm not a very well-traveled person, but I imagine that there are other places that have something similar to this, to where it's just, you know, that the rich upper crust elite go there and hang out and just talk about how much simoleons they have, etc. And then across the street from this is going to be Hallow Hall's Memorial, which funnily enough I actually used the same lot as my vanilla Let's Play cemetery as well. So this will also be a graveyard. I don't know why I've chosen this again to be a graveyard. I very well could have chosen the Monroes, and who knows, I may change it, but this just feels big enough to suit a house, whereas this feels like a fine enough spot for a cemetery. And then across the way in Courtyard Lane, we'll have the Callaways, the Crawfords. Again, these are just families that I'm placing in here, that are established families within the Willow Creek community. So they'll probably own businesses here, or they'll probably have some sort of very special title, like politically speaking. So who knows, maybe they're like the town's treasury or something, I don't know. We have the Whitleys, the Potters, and then I've made this Rindle Rose Market. This is going to be like a farmer's market. I'll read the description. It says, a community effort, the Rindle Rose Market is a farmer's market meetup where the local green thumbs can swap, buy, and sell, maybe even exchange a little gossip. So y'all know how, like, in some places, at least in the South, there will be these very cute, very almost boutique like farmers markets that will sell sometimes everything but actual produce. They'll sell like art stuff, but you know that this isn't stuff like artsy stuff in terms of like to decorate your house with, not actual paintings that someone has taken time. Like, these folks have probably gone to some big marketplace, bought up a bunch of stuff, and then are reselling it. Or maybe they make candles and soap, and then that's like their claim to like the farmer produce type stuff. But you might have one or two stands that actually sell something that's like, okay, yeah, this belongs here. It's like jams and jellies and preserves that they've made, and you know, maybe some bread, but it's not like a traditional farmer's market. Like, I've been to these before where they're selling animals. I do hobby homesteading IRL, so I have chickens, and you know, you go there and you've got animals that are being auctioned off, and you've got folks selling grain and it's oat seed and all kinds of stuff and vegetables. But then you've got, like, on the other side of a farmer's market, this sort of very niche farmer's market, I say in italics, that doesn't actually sell anything produce wise. And I think what Rindle Rose Market is just that. It's where the hoity-toities decided, you know what, we'll allocate this space, this property, for a farmer's market, and we'll just sell like a bunch of cutesy stuff and maybe some tomatoes. So that's what Rindle Rose Market is going to be. I think the best way for me to set that up is like a community center lot. I think that's something that came with the Eco Lifestyle pack. So I think I'll do that. Otherwise, it may end up being a small business set up like a farmer's market. A very cutesy pottery barn. I don't know how to explain it, but I think you're picking up the vibe that I'm going for. But that's what Rindle Rose Market is going to be like. This is the place that you can also grab like a coffee from a very cute little coffee stand. Do you know what I mean? And then pick up a scented candle that's allegedly handmade. Up Willow Creek tour of the plans. We have Foundry Cove still left. We have Willow Creek Flats, which I plan on being a bed and breakfast. Daisy Villas, which is going to be a set of townhomes. I'm thinking that I'm going to change this around. I have this set as the Gardens, which I imagine will be an apartment complex, but I think I may put the apartment complex here and put Old Foundry Mall here. And then we have Kick and Snare, which is going to be a karaoke bar. So the vision, like I've said this entire time, Willow Creek is still going to reflect old Southern architecture, and Foundry Cove, in my mind, is going to be what little there is of the younger generation living here, because it will have more things to do. I think it'll still have very traditional architecture. style buildings. So like even for the apartment complex, and I'll pop a picture up of what I'm envisioning for this to look like, but it will still have a very oldness to it, but probably updated to fit the needs of the folks that dwell therein. I think the newest thing would be Kick and Snare here. And this has probably created quite the stir in the town. I imagine that this was probably an old house that had recently been renovated to be a karaoke bar, kind of to fit the needs for the younger people that may still live in Willow Creek and want something fun to do. And so I imagine the citizens are probably like, how dare they? How dare they change that house into a karaoke bar? But yeah, it is what it is. And now we'll move on to Magnolia Promenade because I'm just going to show it to y'all really quick. But I'd said in my vanilla LP, I wasn't sure if I wanted the builds for this to mirror the set dressing builds that surround the area. But I think for this save file, it definitely will be. So these builds will all look similar to the shells that surround Magnolia Promenade. We'll have Magnolia Bloom, which are some rentals, so this will be a apartment complex here. SimQ Shopping Center, similar to how I did the Magnolia Plaza in the Vanilla LP save, which that build is available on the gallery if you'd like to check it out. It's going to be a small business, but it will be divided where it'll have multiple things for Sims to do. So for example, that build has a cafe, a theater in there. Yeah, that's how I'll do this as well. We'll have Myshuno Outfitters, which will be a retail store, and Lucky Koi, which will be a restaurant. Now we'll move over to Newcrest. I've already started building. These are 2 builds that I have completed, so I'll show those to you in just a minute. As well as I've started building the mayor's house. Mayor Ellis will live here with his family. We'll finish this build out too in this video, and it will give you an idea of how I plan on creating the rest of the homes here in Newcrest. And then yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll touch some on phase 2 of the Savefile development, or at least what I've thought out, what I've planned thus far, and then that will conclude the video. So yeah, let's take a look at Newcrest's map really quick. As I mentioned earlier, Newcrest is going to be all about growth, development, community, etc. So I wanted there to be a focus on like the youth and stuff. So this is Newcrest City Hall. This is where the mayor will work. I have it set to a small business, and I think the plan, at least how I think these sort of municipal buildings should work, is that they either need to be a small business or a custom venue lot. And I have this one set as a small business. I know that sucks, but I'll show you why when we toured the build together, why it's set like that. But it'll also be a way for the mayor to earn income. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, because there's not technically a job position as mayor in The Sims, he needs to be able to earn his bread somehow. So yeah, we'll also have the Newcrest Youth Home. This is actually an orphanage. This is an orphanage, and it's also set up like a small business, and I'll explain that too again when we do the tour of it. But yeah, I plan on having there be one adult sim present to kind of manage the children, but I'll have that sim also have like a employee, because it's going to be ran as a small business, and they'll be able to help with the children that stay there. At least I hope so. If all runs as how I think it should, then they should be able to assist with the kids. So I'll essentially just have one sim present on staff here. It's gonna be set as a residential, but it's gonna have a small business ran within it. And yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but there will be a bunch of kids in this household that need homes. Okay, so we'll have the Newcrest Rec Center, which will be a gym. It'll have an indoor pool and stuff. I think I even want to put like a little party spot in here so that folks can throw birthday parties here if they should like. We'll have the Newcrest Public Library and Sprouts, which will be a daycare center. On the other side of the map, we've got Ridgeline Drive neighborhood, and we'll have Ridge Lake Apartments, Cookies and Cream, which will be a bakery, Antonio's Pizzeria, which I'm going to do this as a small business and use the pizza machines that came with the Home Chef Hustle kit, and have this be a cute little make your own pizza joint. We've got Game On, Arcade, and Bowling, and then we have Sandy Shoals Townhomes, which this will be, so Ridge Lake Apartments is going to be like a proper apartment complex, but the Sandy Shoals Townhomes is going to be like a more, I'll pop a picture up again of what I'm envisioning, but it's going to be more of like townhomes that are all linked together. And so this area here, which is Bridgeview neighborhood, is going to have actual homes. We have the Mayor home, which his name is going to be Mayor Ellis, and he'll live here. The Perez family, the Reddicks, the Lees, and then this is Bridgeview Playground. So yeah, like I said, very family focused, family oriented. I debated on whether I wanted to have a spot for weddings, etc., but I decided not to, because, you know, if Willow Creek and Magnolia Promenade are kind of close geographically speaking to Newcrest, what do y'all think? I think it's probably like maybe 30-minute drive from each town or each city. So if someone wanted to get married, then they could get married in Willow Creek at the park, like at Magnolia Parks, Magnolia Blossom Park, or at the church. So they have those options available to them. But right, let's go ahead and take a look at which one should we do? Let's do the City Hall first. We'll take a look at that together, show you guys the layout, and then I'll explain to y'all the vision, the plan that I have on how to run this. And who knows, I don't know, maybe I'm helping y'all figure out something in your own save file if this is something y'all wanted to do but didn't know where to start. So yeah, this is the City Hall. Let me get the walls up so y'all can get the whole thing. This is the City Hall. She's okay. I did get some inspiration for this build just by Googling, like town city halls as well as just municipal buildings and stuff. I'm sorry if y'all can hear my dog snoring. It's a reoccurring sound that is an ambience on my videos, but regardless, this is the City Hall. I'm trying to make these builds not so cluttered either, but I still want them to feel somewhat realistic, because I know, at least when I used to have a toaster for a laptop, sometimes it would be really hard to play in builds that were excessively cluttered, just had a lot of stuff going on, and that's with just like vanilla assets. That's not with custom content. So I wanted to make sure that I wasn't over cluttering the space, but also still keeping it, well, real. So yeah, let's go ahead and do a little tour of the build. I did a kind of a sloppy 360, but we'll go back through it, I promise. So this is the entrance. The City Town Hall for Newcrest faces the Newcrest Youth Center, which we'll view that in just a second. So upon entrance, you've got a nice little waiting area here for the Sims who maybe have special business to attend to with the mayor of Newcrest. Maybe they want to chit chat with him, get his attention on something, don't know. Got some vending machines going on, and this is where the the folks would check in at the little kiosks here. Again, I did this so that the mayor can get some money, okay? This is, I assume, where the staff will be. I have it sectioned off for employees only, so, maybe his assistant, and who knows, maybe even the town treasurer works here as well. Yeah, through here we've got little restrooms for the folks that come in and have special business. I'm just going to show you one restroom because it's literally identical. So through here we have a meeting room. Now this is why I'm justifying this being a small business and folks paying to come in here, is because I imagine that the mayor as well as his staff members are going to be highly skilled Sims in charisma and logic and all kinds of social fundamental skills for Sims. And so I imagine that since Newcrest, although progressive and modern, is a very, very small town, and therefore they have to kind of get double utility out of some of the buildings. And so I imagine that this is almost the equivalent to a community college course for some of the folks here. And I said that there is going to be a diverse group of people that live in Newcrest. So I'm imagining Sims from all different walks of life. Sims that come from Tomarang and Ciudad Enamorada and, Solani. These are a bunch of different Sims with different backgrounds, and perhaps they're coming to get some college classes, some community college classes here at the City Town Hall to just kind of acclimate to South Cordelia. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is just a space for people to, one, connect with the town history, with the state's history and stuff, but also to learn and to hopefully advance, in whatever profession they want to be in. So the mayor and his, assistants would assist with those lectures and such. Moving onward, we are entering into the mayor's big ol' office space. Don't want to go there yet. But this is his office space here. I plan on putting some family photos once I have the mayor created and his family created. I plan on putting some family photos in those photo frames. So don't worry, they're not black from the terrible black photo bug that's going around. It's just, they're empty. They literally are empty. So this is his office space. Big, spacious. He's got his diplomas, all of his credentials that makes him, mayor. And I did give him an ensuite bathroom. I will show y'all this because I know my interest is always, my curiosity is always piqued whenever folks are doing tours. And I'm please just show me what's behind the door. I know you say it's a toilet, but I just want to see that it's a toilet, okay? So yeah, moving upstairs, we've got a couple of different rooms that have different utility to them, I suppose. This one is where I imagine the showdowns of political, debates happen. Do you know what I mean? The mayor maybe even gives speeches here as well, and folks could come and do their thing. I really wanted to create a courthouse, and I can't say that I won't do that for Willow Creek in the municipal thing. So I really wanted to create a courthouse as well because I thought that would be interesting to have a courthouse situation, even though I don't know how that would be used, because at least for this, folks can come and practice their debate skills and stuff, which I'm going to have that as an activity to do here, as well as listen on skill classes and such. Again, another restroom up here. It's just a restroom, but I'm always interested to see it. I don't know about y'all, but I personally find that mine, not anyone else's, but my speed builds are kind of boring, and I sometimes don't enjoy them. I usually prefer tours to speed builds, so y'all let me know. Would y'all rather see me do speed builds, integrate some speed builds in this Savefile Diary series, or do you prefer to see the final result of what I've built? Because I don't mind. I don't mind doing either or, but I figured it would make sense for me to ask you guys too. Maybe I can mingle in both things. But anyway, this is another lecture classroom, another community classroom. This is probably a bit bigger than the one downstairs. So maybe some folks also take classes like that doesn't have to do with like logic and charisma and stuff like that, or comedy or whatever. Maybe they take classes here on like writing, you know what I mean? Painting, artistry. I don't know. But they do it. They come up here and they do it. So let's go outside again so I can kind of show y'all a bit better the situation outside. Because I didn't do a very good job at showing y'all what is out there. But if we come back to the first classroom here, you have an exit on this side of the building as well. Basically, this just takes you out to what I consider the parking lot for the city hall. So perhaps the mayor parks his little car, his little eco-friendly sedan here, and then goes into the office for the day. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know why. I actually like this backspace a lot. There's nothing special about it whatsoever, but I just enjoy this backspace of this building for some reason. But yeah, so that is the city hall. I think it looks really nice. It didn't come out exactly how I would have wanted. I wish that there was a way for us to like, oh my gosh, sorry. I wish that there was a way for us to like arch the walls, because the reference photo that I had is similar to this. I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but the entryway had a wall that was arched here with columns in front that led into the building, and then the windows that were at the top of the floor were just normal squared windows, and so I wanted to have an arch somewhere, so I just put arched windows up there. Also, there's nothing up on the top floor of this build. I didn't intend for it to have anything in here, honestly. It just has some lights so that it's a bit brighter when it's nighttime. You see what I'm saying? So it's not so dark. But yeah, that is the city hall for Newcrest, and I really like it. I think it probably took me about an hour and a half to complete with the decorating and such, but I do like it. There's some things about it I wish I could change, but I know my own limitations for building, but I also know the game's limitations for building too. So let's go ahead and take a look at the youth center. Alright, so we are at the Newcrest Youth, is it Youth Home Center? Not me not knowing my own build's name. No, just Newcrest Youth Home. I'm so sorry. Anyway, so this is the building I went for. Like I said, I feel like some buildings that are in Newcrest have been modernized just a tad. Like the city hall to me feels a little bit older, traditional, feels very early 2000-ish, maybe mid 2000-ish. But this feels like it could be something from an earlier time, but they've repurposed it with newer colors and such. Also, this stone, it's actually, I think it's a paper mache thing, and I think it's supposed to be paper mache, but it's actually a smaller object that came with the most newest EP. And it reminded me when I was in high school, we had this big old rock near our school building, and senior year we all painted the rock and put our handprints on it and wrote the year that we graduated and such. And so that reminded me of that, and I like to imagine that the children that live here have painted that rock, even though I think it's a paper mache item. and put their little handprints on here. And granted, those are some big old hands for children, but if it was of the original size, no one could see it. So anyway, I digress. Let's go ahead and go in the building. I'll show you the outside too. Though there's not too much to really see on the outside. You know, we'll get there when we get there. But the idea that I have for this particular build is that it will be technically a residential home with a small business feature. So I imagine there's going to be a very sweet older lady. I think she'll be an adult sim so that she can live for a little bit longer, but just kind of, she looks a little old. And she's the director of the home for the youth in Newcrest, and she's just very friendly, very amiable, loves children and loves teaching, and so she runs this. And I think her daughter is probably going to be married to the mayor, and she helps here as well. Ideally she would be a volunteer that helped, but because that's not how the small business stuff works, I have to pay her as I would have to pay her as an employee. So it just is what it is. But anyway, upon entering, this area here is where I imagine like the children that are about to go to their new homes would kind of come and meet their, you know, new adopted parents. And I don't know, maybe their parents even sit and kind of wait here, or perhaps even the parents come and have an appointment with the director at the facility, and they come and, you know, want to take a tour of the youth center and see what it's all about, meet the children, do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. So I wanted it to be very bright. I said this in my last video, orange and blue are one of my two favorite color combos, and if I use it, if there's a place for me to use it, then I will use it, and so I have used it. Blue and orange and yellow is all throughout this build. So anyway, I have some like items that kind of look like the children may have crafted them scattered about the build, and I like it. I think it adds a very friendly vibe to the place. Upon entry, there is like this administrative area. This is the only administrative area that's in this building. Maybe the director and her employees kind of chill out in here from time to time to do paperwork for the children, maybe have all their medical records in order, etc. There's also a little bathroom in here for them too, just for employees only. Just for them. Now, if we come through the double doors here, this is sort of, I didn't know what to do with this space, if I'm being perfectly honest. It's just a very open space that kind of connects to all of the other rooms and such that the children would be using. So I just put like a crafting table. There's some paper mache items here for the kids to do some paper crafting. I thought it would be a really cute idea for them to have an aquarium, maybe like something equivalent to like a youth home pet that they all have to take care of. I may swap it out for a hamster, but I don't know. I just kind of liked the vibe of the coral and having some fish and stuff in there, a little fish tank. But yeah, so through here, I've got a little setup. Maybe it's like a learning program that the director has put together for the children. But let me also show y'all. This is a bathroom over here. I will of course show y'all the bathroom. I'm not gonna leave you hanging. So it's just a one toilet restroom through here. Sink and everything is over there. And then if we come back out, there's only one classroom that's in the youth home, and I imagine the director and her employees kind of switch out the children to teach them. There's only going to be child sims here, so there will not be any toddlers and there will not be any teens. It's only going to be child sims that live here. But we have a little computer space for them in their classroom. I love it. It looks really nice. Maybe the director teaches them like I don't know, mental skills, communication skills, etc. And then through here is like a cafeteria slash kitchen area. So we've got some spaces for them to dine. I put a TV in here. I know it's probably not great for them to watch TV and eat, but they're orphans, so let them do what they want. So yeah, they'll probably come in here, eat, watch a little television. Through here is the kitchen, very nice and spacious. It does have normal kitchen item stuff, but I also incorporated a cafeteria bar. I really hope that this works. I think this is the one that comes with the high school years, but my thought process is that the director has a very strict diet that she wants the children to eat, a very healthy one. And so perhaps her and her employees will prepare the meals and set them out here for the children to come and get when it is breakfast, lunch, and dinner time. So yeah, that is the cafeteria space. And then through here is technically another classroom, but I don't really look at it like a classroom. It's more of an activity room for the kids to kind of learn musically speaking and creatively speaking. So we've got some activity tables, some science labs, a piano in case they want to come and learn the piano. Perhaps the director teaches them some music as well. And then this back space here is actually the laundry room. Kids in game can actually do the laundry. I don't know if y'all knew that or not, but they can only do it if the washer and dryer are set like this. So hopefully they'll be able to learn some responsibility by helping out with the chores. But yeah, this is the laundry room through here. This nice little mud room where they can keep their shoes and their backpacks and things like that. And extra coats and stuff is here. Out through here is a basketball goal, picnic area. Maybe they come out here sometimes for lunch and do some hopscotch and planting. I wanted to have some garden planters out here so that they can learn to garden. But this is a very convenient location, and I picked this for the orphanage because it's close to a playground, so they can quite literally walk right out and play, or they can go over here, and there's also some monkey bars for them to hang out at, as well as some really cute, fun animal topiaries to look at and such. So it feels like this space is really all one connected space if you look at it, but it's not. It's not. It just feels that way, but that's why I picked this particular location. If we go upstairs, on the landing is kind of like a makeshift library. I've got some bookcases and such, as well as some seating areas for the kiddos. There's some more of the paper crafting materials here if they should want to do some more paper crafting. And then through here is like a smaller computer lab slash study room for the children to do some work if they want to. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they have to do write papers and stuff for school, so they come in there in a quieter space to do that. And then I'll just show you one of these restrooms. This one is the girls' restrooms. Very cute. It is identical to the boys, with the exception they've got some different accessories on the sink. Or different items on the sink, but there's two toilets here, and I just did shower stalls in here, and they look identical to each other. I try to keep it a little bit more private because, you know, like the way that the showers are made in The Sims, like if you have them situated out, it's like, technically speaking, the Sim would step out and not have their clothes ready. So that gives the illusion that they can at least have their clothes prepared before they step out of the shower and have a little bit more privacy. But anyway, if we go through here, this is the director's bedroom. All of her stuff is here, a little workspace for her, dresser and such. She has her own ensuite bathroom. Yeah, it's very cute. Nothing too fussy. I used a lot of the Dream Home Decorator items for this build because I like those items actually. Through here is the boys' dorm. Very cute and boyish with some items for them to use. I also put one of these whiteboards in both the boys' room and the girls, and I think it looks good. They have a nice view of City Hall too, which, you know what, they may not enjoy that actually now that I think about it, but it is what it is. Sorry. And then through this hallway, this middle room here is like it essentially works as a living room space for the house, because like I said, this is technically a residential, but it's not at the same time. So this is where they can come watch movies, listen to music, maybe play some video games. They can get some popcorn, get a smoothie, and just chill out, which I really like this. This is also a card table too. If they want to play cards or maybe do a puzzle together, then they can do so. Just a sweet little hangout spot that they can kind of come and decompress from school and maybe meeting new families that potentially want to adopt them. And then the last room through here, and the last room in the youth center home, is the little girls' room. I actually don't like how this room came out, but I really don't know what else to do with it, because I wanted to keep everything cohesive with like the floor pattern and all that stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I don't like the girls' room as much as I like the boys'. There's something about it that feels a little off, and I don't know what it is or really how to fix it. It could be the furniture colors. It could just be the color in general. I'm not a huge fan of pink, but I do prefer this type of pink to like a light pastel-y one. So I don't know. I may change it around a little bit later, but for now, I'm going to keep it as is. And yeah, that is the youth home in all its glory. I think it looks really good. I think it came out really well. I'm really proud of how this did, because I wasn't looking at anything when I created it actually, like the floor plan or even the exterior. I had a difficult time trying to find reference photos for like orphanages. When you Google like orphanages, do you know what I mean? Like orphanage aesthetic, you're gonna come up with like 1800s Victorian era sad children. Do you know what I mean? This backspace too is just like extra. I do this from time to time where I just add like this random details of like equipment or appliance type stuff that you would see on a building. So like the water heater is outside, but it's not a functional one. The trash bin is out here too. And yeah, that is the youth home. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and we'll head over to the Ellis house and we'll finish building that together on camera. I'll probably turn it into a little bit of a speed build situation because I have the shell of the house completed. And then I'll talk a little bit more about phase 2 of this project, and that will conclude the video. So this is the shell of the mayor's house. It doesn't have windows or anything added to it yet because I'm gonna do that while we go through the build and stuff. But this is kind of the vibe that I'm wanting the rest of the houses to have. I really hope these colors look okay because I do have G-shade. That's the thing about even though I do play, or like I have a vanilla Let's Play series, I do still keep I said G-shade but reshade on in here, so it does affect the color and saturation, etc. Even like the lighting a little bit, how the lighting looks. So yeah, I'm just hoping that the colors are okay. But this is the shell that I've started for his home. I think it looks okay. I think it looks all right. I'm never quite satisfied with any of my builds, y'all may have noticed. It's not usually because I think like they're super bad, but I always think that there could be something done a little better to improve them, and I may not know what it is. But anyway, I'll show you guys the floor plan, or what I plan for the floor plan to look like. So we have the entrance portion here. I want to do a formal dining room in this area of the house, and then through here will be the kitchen. And this area will be the living room. We'll have a half bathroom here. The master bedroom will be here, along with like an ensuite bathroom too. This is going to be a laundry room. The kitchen, in the kitchen, there's a door that goes right outside here. I would like to maybe put like some playground equipment out here, because I think the mayor is going to have at least one child. My thought process is that the mayor of Newcrest is young, his family is young, and so I think he'll have a child, and he and his wife are planning to have a second child. So yeah, so you come up here and you've got the landing, a nice spacious landing. I may put some things up here like a chess table or some bookshelves or something. I think this is going to be his office space here, and then the room through here is going to be like an additional reading nook. So I think education and academic stuff is very important to the mayor of Newcrest. And then these are 2 bedrooms here. I think this will be the child's bedroom, and we'll turn this one into a nursery, and then this will be a bathroom. So yeah, that is pretty much the whole shebang. Like I said, I need to still add some windows and stuff, which we'll do that together. I'll do a little speed build of this, and then we'll decorate it as well together. But this is like the look that I'm going for, and I think we'll do that with the other homes. I was thinking too, which this is a new thought, but I had envisioned that there would be a family for each of these lots, each of these 3 lots here, and this is going to be maybe like a playground. But I'm thinking now that maybe I should try to put 2 houses on one of these lots so that I can squeeze in more residents. I know that I'll have apartment complexes in Newcrest, but still, I want to make sure I have enough space. I really wish that where this fishing pond is located, I really wish that was like a lot, like an actual buildable lot, but unfortunately it is not. So it is what it is. So yeah, let's go ahead and try to finish out his house. Y'all, I turned off my reshade for a second just to see like how the colors and stuff looks, and I'm fine with the colors of the house as far as how they show up in game, but the saturation of like The Sims, my eyes are not used to it anymore, like the natural colors, and I was like, oh my gosh, why? So I just had to stop and say that. But this is the windows that I have so far, so let's continue onward. Alright, so I do think we are officially finished with the decorating. I kind of stopped recording like the decorating process because I don't know. I was I was thinking to myself, I don't know if this is good or not, and I don't know. I had to take a break from it, and then I came back to it. And I was like, you know what? I think I just want to go ahead and get this finished. I do love decorating in the interior and stuff. I think between building and decorating, I prefer the building portion. But usually when I'm decorating, I like to do I prefer doing living rooms and dining rooms and bedrooms, but when you get to the children's bedrooms and stuff, that's where things get a little boring for me. And I guess not necessarily boring, it's more like I don't know what I'm doing. Does that make sense? Anywho, let's go ahead and take a little tour of the mayor's home. So when you walk in, you have the formal dining room. I used a lot of seasons items in here and actually throughout the house, as well as base game items. I tried to use base game items, but I mean, there's only so much you can use. Do you know what I mean? Before it starts looking not great. So yeah, this is their formal dining room. I have some empty frames throughout the house to fill up with some photos of the family. And then right through here is supposed to be just a little foyer area where they hang their coats and jackets and things, maybe put their keys and stuff in there. This is the half bath. Right through there, nothing special, just a bathroom. And if you come through here, I also added an archway, so there's 2 entrances to get into the kitchen. So if you come through here, this is the living room space. I used some of the new updated items from the most recent update that we got of the West African designs, interior design assets. They look great. And I like it. I like how this came out. I like the colors in here. It's very warm, very inviting. Looks really nice. I also put a baby crib because, like I said, the mayor and his wife are trying to have another child. So yeah, I put that stuff down there. This is the kitchen. The kitchen went through several different changes. I couldn't decide what I wanted to do with it, and I ended up shortening up some of the wall, if you can tell, and I put a command center, since they have kids, on the wall, just to add a little something different. I don't know, to make it feel a little family oriented, I suppose. So yeah, that's the kitchen, and then through here is the utility closet / laundry room. Yeah, she's cute. She's very cute. If we come back out through the kitchen into the formal dining room, there is the master bedroom off to the side here. I love it. I use a lot of greens and browns, a lot of neutral tones throughout this house. And I will admit that this is usually a go-to color scheme for me. Lots of greens, browns, etc. They have an ensuite bathroom with a his and her sink, a little built-in shelf. I wanted to do something with that wall, but I didn't know what to do with it, so I turned it into a towel closet for them. So if we go up to the second part of the house, the second story, I didn't realize actually just how I don't know how big this landing actually is for this little family. It is quite large, so I was having an issue with figuring out where to put stuff. So yeah, I did put a chest table up here, some bookshelves, some more empty frames are up here for the photos, a radio, and another sitting spot. Maybe the family comes up here, does some little quiet time reading, or perhaps since the mayor does live here, maybe he has folks come and like wait here until he's able to see them, because his office is right through here. Yeah, I also put a bike here for him. I don't know why. I think that the mayor is a very athletic young guy. Have you guys ever seen Parks and Rec? I feel like he's like a male version of Leslie Knope, okay? So, and she just exudes like high energy, high spirited, you know what I mean? And so I think that's his vibe as well. So also though, I don't know about y'all, but sometimes I would go to a friend's house and their parents would have workout equipment in the most random spots in their home. I mean, I think nowadays folks either just go to the gym or maybe they even allot a bedroom into they convert it into a at-home gym. But my friend's parents would have like, you know, weights or something in the kitchen, like or like in the dining room or something pushed to the side in the corner, or like a treadmill in the living room. I don't know, that seemed to be a reoccurring thing. I think even at one point my mom had a treadmill in the living room too, so it just is what it is. But through here is his office. He's got his diplomas and all his credentials on the wall to show off his smartness, I guess. Through here is kind of like, I didn't know what I really wanted to do with this. I said I was gonna turn it into like a book nook, but I think this is more of like a man cave. I don't know, perhaps if he does have folks come and visit him, perhaps he entertains them here in this space. Maybe they get some nectar and talk about the politics of Newcrest and so on. I don't know, but I used one of these smaller bar tables, the one square tile ones, and I'm glad that I did, because I forget that we have them. So yeah, he does have some books in here too himself. This nice little lounge chair. Yeah, I love it. And if you come back out to the landing, there are 3 doors that you can choose from. This first one here is just the bathroom, the upstairs bathroom. Through here is their current child's bedroom. I imagine she's going to be a little girl. Yes, very cute, very pink. I gave her the evil Imagine Me doll because I kind of like the idea that her parents are very good and kind, filled with goodwill towards men, and just, you know, all about helping their fellow brother, their fellow neighbor, you know. And meanwhile, they're raising like a really evil child. I don't know why, that just gave me a giggle. So we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, I like how I did this. I mean, I know it's not an innovative thing. I'm sure you watching this have done this 1,000 times, but here I am acting as if I just discovered it. So I put the closet here, but there was some additional space that wasn't being used. So I closed it in, put in an arch, and just slid one of the smaller bookshelves in there. And I like it. I like how it looks. It looks very cute and cozy. So yeah, that is her bedroom. And then this last room up here through the hall is the nursery. I'm not good at decorating kids' bedrooms. I'm not, unless I have custom content that's themed. Like there's a set theme in mind. I can work with that. But because The Sims, there's not really a themed set, or to me, unless you have like the kids' stuff pack, there's not really anything in here to me that's themed that kind of flows together, or I don't know, it's just awkward. So I tried my best. I tried my best, and it's fine. I don't like it. I actually don't like it at all. Now that I'm looking at it, so it probably will change, but it is what it is. And that is the mayor's home in all its glory. I think it looks great. I'm sure that it will probably get changed again I did out back make a pool. I hope that this pool works. I'll have to test it out and see. Did a little patio set up here too for entertaining, etc. I think it's really cute. I debated on whether I was going to do a playground equipment here, but seeing as how I do plan on making this lot over here an actual playground lot for kids, I figured it would just be better to not do it because there will be a park like right across the street that the child here can go and visit. So yeah, that is the mayor's home. I hope that y'all enjoyed the decorating process with me. So before I end off the video, I did want to talk a little bit about phase 2 of my Savefile project, which again, phase 2 is titled The Northern Frontier, which covers the northern part of my fictitious state, South Cordelia. So just a general overview of the northern region. The northern half of South Cordelia is it's rugged, it's industrial. Again, it's going to include the world's Evergreen Harbor, Copperdale, Moonwood Mill, and Granite Falls. In my mind, Evergreen Harbor and Copperdale, like Willow Creek and Magnolia Promenade, are joined together like it's one big city. So Evergreen Harbor for that area is considered the major industrial city. It's essentially like a counterpart to San Myshuno, but instead of the metropolitan sheen, it has more of a blue-collar grit to it. Copperdale, mountain town tied to mining and manufacturing. That's how that ties into Evergreen Harbor. They both have that shared production history. Moonwood Mill used to be kind of a booming lumber town in my save file, but it's kind of slowed down. The production for lumber is just not necessary anymore in South Cordelia. And so unfortunately, the lumber industry is kind of fading out. In my save file, I'm really wanting Moonwood Mill to kind of be this sort of, unfortunately, this up and coming crime, low income, poverty stricken town, because of the lack of lumber business there now. A lot of the folks have unfortunately had to resort to either moving out of Moonwood Mill or crime. They've had to resort to crime. But it's whispered amongst just about everyone within the state of South Cordelia that there is a werewolf bloodline that has existed there since the state was founded. And so I think this bloodline has suddenly almost come back up. People have been noticing a lot of strange things going on. I will say I haven't fully fleshed out the details of phase 2 when it comes to the townies. I know I have an idea of the history and stuff for the towns, but for townies and families and stuff, I haven't really fleshed that out, so I still have to work on that. But yeah, Evergreen Harbor, like I said, and Copperdale are both together. The mayor of basically the whole northern part, because in my mind, Moonwood Mill and Granite Falls they don't need a mayor living there, so there's only one mayor that covers the entire northern part of South Cordelia, and that's Mayor Pigulok. Pigulok was a name, I think, of a prospector from Evergreen Harbor, in the actual eco-lifestyle lore. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's someone there that has that name in one of the details about a lot there, and I just went with that. So he basically oversees all of the towns, specifically though Copperdale and of course Evergreen Harbor. Moonwood Mill kind of runs on its own, as does Granite Falls, because Granite Falls is going to be a wilderness escape, so it's considered South Cordelia's official retreat area, like retreat town. So campers, hikers, outdoors enthusiasts are going to flock to Granite Falls whenever they come to South Cordelia. That's like one of the most visited tourist sites is Granite Falls. So it's considered the peaceful heart of the northern frontier, which to me is definitely a stark contrast to like the lumber mills and the factories, the rock quarries that Evergreen Harbor will have. Which, by the way I plan on doing Evergreen Harbor is I am going to do like rock quarry, like union housing too, so that there's like people that work at these facilities. And really I think what I'll do is just create like a factory style lot, but the main purpose of using it is just to do fabrication work. So I'll use some of the fabrication machines that came with that pack. Same with the lumber mill. I am going to create a lumber mill from Woodwind Mill, like kind of a torn down, very scuffed lumber mill that's really no longer working, but it'll probably be utilized as a fabrication or a handiness sort of small business, is what I think I'll have to categorize it as. But yeah, the Northern Frontier themes, at least for the phase 2 of it, is industrial growth versus environmental conservation, because I do want there to be in Evergreen Harbor sort of like this new generation that wants more green initiatives to kind of do away with the industrious side of like their town and stuff. So like you'll have old mining families versus the new generations that are thinking of like, is there a better, more eco-friendly way to do the production work? We don't want to get rid of it because we know it helps with the jobs here, but is there a better way to do it? And then of course the legends and folklores of the werewolves is going to be a part of this phase. And yeah, just like the tension between large city interests and small town identity still is going on up north, because yeah, it's going to be considered, the northern part of South Cordelia is going to be considered hardworking, resilient counterpart to the south, or the southern part where Willow Creek is, which is more like old money, elegance, and legacy, etc. So hopefully that makes sense. If you're still with me and you're listening to this, hats off to you. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me. But yeah, I think that will conclude our video for today. I will be posting a Coral Island LP, so stay tuned for that this week. With that being said, you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye.